How's it going, everyone? And welcome to the Den. I've done the Defiant Lion show. I've recently changed it to the Den. I'm just trying to try a few new things out. We're gonna be talking about the Epstein case that is, flooding social media and news outlets, basically the whole world's news by storm. So we got two guests tonight, which if you watched me before, I usually only bring one guest, but we have Tyler Tebow. Say
Hey,
how's
what's
it
going
going?
on? It's going well. It's actually Tebow, but yeah,
T-
we're here again.
Sorry.
It's fine. You're trying to over French it. You're trying to over French it. Just
Yeah.
Tebow, real simple, real Southern.
Well, I like to come off as sophisticated, even though I'm not really at all. Um, but our other guest, Scott Gaff.
Hello?
What's up, Scott? How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
All right. So to start off this whole Epstein case, I mean, I didn't really hear about it when it first happened in 2002. If a lot of you aren't as familiar with it, he did face a trial for basically the same thing, but it wasn't on such a large scale. And basically, the same thing. He kind of got a plea deal, and it all got swept under the rug. And all the major players in this case are kind of notable names, and they're kind of all doing their own little thing now. So now this whole thing has resurfaced. Trump's name is probably being mentioned as much, if not more, than Epstein in this whole situation. Um, so we're gonna talk about one, the case, and two, just the whole political climate of the situation, because we're seeing people saying like, oh, well, Trump knows the guy, well, Bill Clinton knows the guy, and you're seeing, a lot of partisan bullshit on both sides. And I for one hope this kind of could be a unification of the left versus right. It's like we may have our differences, but we all hate pedos, right?
Well, yeah, it should be. It should be. It should be. If not the major unification of the left and right, one of the major unifications, because there's this whole like common man left right thing, but a lot of people kind of view it as like the elite, like the circle elite that gets away with whatever, and is completely like corrupted by power, versus like your common man. And
Hmm.
it's it's almost like fantastical that like the issue has been brought to like elite pedophile rings. But if anything, it should be a wake up call to like, we have this class of people that are engaged in the most vile, the most taboo, um, aspects of any kind of society, and basically get away with it, or at least engaged in it as part of like a normal ritualistic fashion. And it's there shouldn't be anybody that's not for investigating it, taking it extremely seriously, and like taking down any rings that may or may not exist, out there,
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing here. It's like, and that's why it's like, as much as I think like Epstein, should be tossed, away for pretty much life, I also sit there and think like, well, if he's gonna do a plea deal and take down more of this, like it's worth it. Like I wouldn't really be for snitching on like a drug cartel or anything that's like not like actually harming someone else. I mean, and obviously drug cartels do other things besides deal drugs, but it's like you're talking about, like you said, like one of the sickest things that you could possibly think of as a human being.
right. And even a libertarian is not going to sit there and be like, oh, let him do it, because it's just something so like I don't know, it strikes you to your core. Like, for some reason, the whole act of pedophilia, the whole act of abusing a kid. I mean, throughout history, you have like cultures where that was allowed, or like child sacrifice was viewed as like pretty much the ultimate sin. I mean, that was like that was the unthinkable, and in a way, there's a lot of power in that which is unthinkable, that which is unspeakable, unfathomable. There's a lot of power, and I think interesting looking into the whole thing. I think it goes beyond just like a perverted sexual appetite for a lot of these elite rings. Obviously, you have more common rings that are producing pornography maybe for money. You have your normal everyday abuser that either is attracted to kids or has access to kids but not adults, so takes it where they can get it. But there's a lot of power play when you talk about elites, when you talk about world leaders, when you talk about billionaires, at any stage in like politics. There's a bit of blackmail that can be involved in that. There's a bit of you're in the secret group. You can be trusted. It's kind of like a information weapon of mass destruction there. And all that is taken into account with this Epstein case, because you look at his black book that everybody references, and it contains a lot of powerful people. It's really no surprise that Trump's in there. It's no surprise that Bill Clinton would be in there, especially like he was probably at his height right during the Clinton administration. But you have princes, you have billionaires from around the world that he regularly engaged with. To the extent, I'm not sure. I mean, we could take this as far as they all went to his island, and he has video of them abusing kids. So that's why he got off so easy. He was to be able to make power plays, or he at least was in a position to be more powerful than his money allowed him to be, which obviously was a lot. He was a billionaire. Or it could be that he just had connections, and it might be a select few that engaged with him, that type of perversion,
Well, I mean, I think it's not to say a select few, but I mean, you're talking about a very elite class of people, because I mean, he was a financer. I'm not sure exactly. I'd have to look back up into it.
Hedge fund manager.
Hedge fund manager.
So he played with people's immense amount of monies and made them more money. So
pretty much. And he's basically located kind of like offshore. His actual residence supposedly is the U.S. Virgin Islands, which is they have certain, they like not really they don't really, they're part of America, I guess, but it's like it really doesn't follow our laws. It's kind of like a weird little trap. I wouldn't really know how to describe it, but like I said, I don't think it's an elite few. And I think you hit the nail on your head. To like what extent, like, did Donald Trump ride the Lolita Express, as it's commonly called? Did Bill Clinton ride the Lolita Express? I think a lot of people are like, yeah, obviously Bill Clinton's right. But it's like, I think that's what it really comes down to, because there's probably thousands of people that know this guy that are just like in that elite circle. Does that mean they all touch kids? Like I hope not.
No,
Like,
you really don't know.
yeah.
You really don't know. And to bring Scott into the conversation, him and I were both like engaged with. I don't want to call him a liberal, because like I feel like the term's overused. Yeah. But we have they're a mutual Facebook friend, and this guy is basically just like I guess he's just like a brownie point guy. He's like, let me just like hate on anything Trump, this, that, and the other. And we got into the discussion. Obviously, a lot of these people are like, going to be pro-Democrat all the way. And while he was like willing to be like, yeah, Clinton's involved too, fuck Clinton. I was able to point out the extent, as far as reports, and it's pretty, common knowledge. Clinton's been known to ride multiple times. I mean, like, probably at least a dozen, right? And Trump is once on a way back to New York. If it was any more known than that, trust me, it'd be everywhere. That's the thing about Trump. If there was something going on and people knew, everybody would know, because that's the climate right now, But
yeah.
But he saw that, and he saw that it was basically, let's shift it away. And I don't want to see this turn into a political argument.
Yeah,
that would be the most argument.
and that's how I kind of came to find out about it, because like when you just like wake up and something happens, and then like boom, it's everywhere, and like people are talking about it and reacting to it, and it's like the thing that really bothered me was um more people were mad that Trump knew the guy than the whole ordeal going on in the first place. And it's like I get it to an extent, but it's like it just kind of becomes like more of um that whole attitude where it's like, oh, anything that we can kind of put against Trump, is good in our favor. It's like we don't really care about these kids. We don't really care about the situation. We just care about trying to get rid of Trump for whatever reason.
Right.
Um,
Mm.
but you're looking at it, it's like out of all the people, he's probably not going to be the one to go down. Like even to the extent of all these supposed stories are absolutely true, and he wrote the Lolita Express, and all that kind of jazz. Like, because he's the sitting president, you know, they're even if he is guilty, they still got the Iran situation. We have so many other things going on. They're gonna find a loophole to say, like, or a reason to say, like, no, like, no matter what, he should stay president for the time being during this situation. Then whenever he's done, we can deal with it later.
Right.
Um,
Well, I
it's
think
like,
Scott, didn't you point out that he kind of brought that up during the election?
Oh yeah, first he was all over the whole Epstein thing, even with Sean Hannity. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
there's a clip of him saying like, "Do you say something about like?" I mean, he just hinted at it about Clinton going to a certain island or something like that.
Yeah, I think. You're talking about Trump. I think he was hinting at. He was an interview or whatever, and he was hinting that they asked him about Bill Clinton, and he was like, "Yeah, he's got a lot to worry about with this whole like, Epstein thing going on." And this was
Yeah, I
back
mean
in.
that seems weird. Like someone would just bring up that shit up if they were guilty too with it.
Right,
But
exactly.
who
So,
knows?
yeah, I mean, maybe he was trying to get in front of it. Maybe this whole new talk about it is people trying to get in front of it
Yeah.
by making a political divide issue instead of focusing on a group. They're like, hey, Epstein's going down. We'll make him fall, and we'll turn it around on everybody that cares and make it an argument with them so they can keep arguing about this shit while the rest of us kind of just, skedaddle away.
But going back to Clinton, Epstein was part of the minds behind the Clinton Global Initiative.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
actually, the Star guy, what's that guy's name? Ken
Ken
Starr.
Starr.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was he was a big player in that whole situation. He was somehow involved in the 2002 Epstein trial. So he was like one of, like, his associates at that time, when he was also trying to defame or whatever, Bill Clinton and the whole Starr report.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely, and you saw what happened. You saw what happened to him. I
Mm.
mean, when we talk about this, we're talking about people on a completely different level. Like, they're not playing
Oh
by
yeah,
the
the
rules.
red.
They're obviously, but I mean, there's a point though, and it's like there's a point, and I've realized this. Even when I was younger, I was like, at a certain point, like, what does the money mean? I mean, you're at points now. You're at a point system where it's like, oh, I have more points than you because like we both have the amount of money where we can do whatever the fuck we want for the rest of our life. And so at a certain point, you just have like these points basically, and money becomes meaningless, but power becomes everything, and that becomes the true wealth. And these people are playing on a completely different level. I mean, like, and psychologically, as far as like any kind of society goes, they're beyond that. They've almost transcended that, and it's no wonder that some people have taken this to the extreme, was calling it like black magic. And in a way it is, if you look at the origins and the real meaning of black magic, which is basically just a way to influence psychology and kind of control people, but it's, what? It's totally possible these people are crazy ass Satanists just like doing this shit for spiritual means. I don't know. Like at this point, I'm willing to believe any of that, and I'm not ashamed of that because like there's no idea. I have no idea what these people do. I have no idea what these people do beyond closed doors. If they're willing and capable of having a private island where they go down and have sex with children, I mean, everything's off the table at that point, in my opinion.
All right, I'm gonna try and attempt to get someone else in here because someone else wants to jump in. It's actually Josh from Sarcasm and Liberty. He said that he's gonna be around, so
Oh, God.
you want to drop in and say a couple words.
Okay.
Good to add people to the conversation. So we're I wanted to bring up when we were talking about the whole Trump quotes. There was a quote that has been going around everywhere. I'm sure many of you have saw it. Where Trump basically says, "Oh, Epstein's a good guy. Like he likes beautiful women just like me. Many of them are on the much younger side."
Right.
And people are going crazy
Yeah,
about
it's
this. Like,
ambiguous.
yeah, like, oh, like this is how Republicans talk. Like, first of all, he was a Democrat when he said that.
Oh, yeah. Shoot. Yeah. If they're gonna say that's a Republican thing, I'd shoot him down. Other than that, I wouldn't be for like the divisiveness of saying, "Oh, he's a Democrat when he was." But
like I obviously do it like most of the troll. Like, but it's just like it's funny because like every time they bring up something that he did 10 years ago, I'm like, yeah, Democrats are terrible people.
I'm trying to find the actual quote here. I just Googled Trump on Epstein. And of course I get a Salon article as the first link, and it says Jeffrey Epstein is Donald Trump's idea of the perfect man. It's like, are you fucking kidding, dude? Like, oh man.
Oh my, like that's where it's like, you stop being able to take the left seriously because it's like they just bring it to like a whole new point where it's like,
I'm gonna continue looking for the actual quote just so we can.
Is that from the Howard Stern show?
No, the Howard Stern show. Okay, and
is that even still going on?
I don't know if it is. I don't if it is.
Who knows?
If it is, he's washed up. Should give it up. You're better than Michael. So no, but I did get in an argument with this Corey guy, Corey Burke or whatever, because he was sharing a meme that had a quote from Trump. And here's the thing: like, I get Trump is sleazy. Everybody knew that, but they're trying to like recaption it and reframe it as like having to do with this whole like child sex ring. Okay, so Trump's talking to Howard Stern. Let's get the context. You always have to realize the context with Trump, I think. And so you get the context. You're on Howard Stern. You're making sexual jokes. You're kind of giving a little locker room talk kind of thing, It happens. And Trump mentions that sometimes during the Miss America and the Miss Universe pageants, since he owns it and runs the show, he's kind of, walking wherever he wants to go because he owns the damn thing. And he walks into the back room, the dressing room, and the ladies are exposed, right? And he's like, yeah, I guess you can get away with that because I own the thing, And it's like, that's kind of creepy, you know what I mean? But like when he was just a billionaire, perverted asshole, it's like whatever. But the meme that had that exact quote that he said on Howard Stern was captioned with him talking about going into Miss Teen USA. You see, so they captioned it with Miss Teen USA. And so me seeing this, I was like, hold on, let me check. It took like 5 seconds, and I read it was actually like a left-leaning site that like explained that he was actually talking about Miss USA and Miss Universe, which are all adults, still sleazy, but it doesn't support the narrative that Trump is like this pedophile and open about it. I think sorry, Scott.
Yeah, he owns both of them, and then that guy, wanted to make it sound like he was talking about Miss Teen. Oh yeah, he owns Miss Teen USA. He owns all of it, but at least he used to.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, it's like someone's got to own it, right? Like, can it not be a guy? Or like,
Right. but if Howard Stern is asking, hey, what was it like, running, Miss USA? And he says, well, it was cool,
You're on the Howard Stern show, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what?
Cool.
This kind of bringing it off topic, but like I had to share this one Howard Stern episode, which was probably like the greatest episode of all time. Howard Stern brought in this girl who, little did he know, was actually the girl from Van Halen's "Hot for Teacher" video.
Really?
So Howard Stern, the big shots that he is, just think this is another bimbo, and he's like, "Oh, take your top off," and she's like, no, fuck you, and he's like, "All right, you're not gonna take your top off. Just get out of the studio. I have no use for you," because that's just how his show went. Like his show was raunchy. Like he didn't give a fuck, and the guy, upon her leaving, mentioned that she was a girl in the Van Halen video, and he's like, oh my god, he's like, call her back and tell her to come back. He's like, he gives her like a full-fledged apology. He's like, I am so sorry. You do not realize how many times I beat it off to you in that video when I was
right. And I mean, and that's the thing, like you can't hide that honesty, like that's funny. I appreciate when people are honest because we all go those places,
It's like I apologize. I have masturbated to you so many times. Like how weird is that hearing that from someone?
So I found the quote where Trump told New York Magazine in 2002, Epstein and Trump, among many of the other elites in New York, were part of a circle. And Trump's quote is, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy." I said I do this in a Trump voice. "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with." And it even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do. Many of them are on the younger side.
Yep, it looks like we got a pop-up. It looks like Josh has joined us. What's up, Josh?
Josh, hi, welcome.
Hey, what's up?
How we doing? Just to get a little introduction, because this is Two Worlds meeting right now. The world of sarcasm and liberty, and our own little trifecta that we have in the theological world between me, Tyler, and Scott.
So I'm not sure.
So Tyler, Scott, Josh, Tyler, and Scott is the one with the no image. So
okay. Well, I mean, like, I'm going to assume you guys are familiar with Michael working with us on Sarcasm and Liberty.
Yeah, I just asked him about it, and he kind of went over it a little bit. You guys' relationships and Think Liberty.
Yeah. He asked the origin stories.
I
do follow the page, and
me and my older brother are like the co-founders of Sarcasm Liberty. He kind of came out of the whole Think Liberty thing. I came in like a little after Think Liberty actually formed. I was still kind of coming into the whole libertarian ideals and stuff like that. But we started Sarcasm and Liberty just as a way to vent our just obnoxious frustrations with stuff.
Yeah,
I got
kind of be assholes
Killian's
about
group.
Yeah, it was a good move. Like, honestly, before I was in Think Liberty, I actually turned this original offer down, but I was going to be one of the original people in Dankatarians when that was a thing.
Yeah, Dankatarian still has me blocked on Twitter too. They got really pissed off at me.
Well, now it's Fakatarians. But before it was Think Liberty, when it was Josh and all them, and like they were just starting out, they asked me to be part of it, and I was at the time doing a lot of basketball reporting, or like basketball pages and shit like that. So I was like, I got too much on my plate, so maybe later.
Hey, what is Killian's thing?
Killian's thing? That's Think Liberty. He's on Think Liberty, and I mean, it's kind of merged with being libertarian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're getting into the weeds. If no one's familiar with any of what we're talking about, libertarian, libertarian news, meme pages, what have you. I am part of Sarcasm and Liberty. Josh is, one of the head guys alongside with his brother over at Sarcasm and Liberty.
We kind of like divide our labor up there. Jason, Jason mostly heads up the Facebook stuff, and I jump in every now and then on that. I mostly head up like the Twitter stuff, but we kind of like I mostly handle YouTube, but I got like you know, Mike Ursey and some other people help out with that, and we got a lot of good people on our team right now. Mike, before I start though, I just like because I don't know where you guys were at before I jumped in, but I just want to make sure, like, you know, I mean, you've seen me on streams before when I've been pretty like kind of just unloaded shit. You just like, do you want me to like kind of rein it in at all, or if I get on a tangent?
I mean, rant in. You know, just like try and like keep the rants like, you know, at a reasonable speed. So
no, like if I'm going off, jump in and stop me. I'm more concerned about the extent of my language when I go off on ranting.
Oh no. Say fuck all you want. Fuck shit. Barbara Streisand, we're good.
Yeah, I was fucking cursing earlier, and I had the same thought. But
there was one stream because one of our guys was like he hosts like our current events, and before like I was joining in on that one. He's like, hey, let's try not to swear too much, and it was like less than a minute into me talking, and I couldn't like I dropped the F-bomb, and I'm like, oh shit, like can't not swear. It's too difficult.
I actually have where we are. Yeah. I actually have where we are just to kind of jump back in it to keep the thing flowing. I had just brought up the Trump quote that he gave to the New York Magazine in 2002. He said, "I've known Jeff for 15 years." Talking about Jeffrey Epstein, obviously. Yeah, I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. So I had just relayed the actual quote.
Where was that from? If you don't mind asking, I'm gonna find that too.
That quote is I'm looking right now. I clicked to the first link that actually had the quote, which is a New York Times article.
New York Times, okay.
And it's quoting it from the New York Magazine in 2002. And I was mentioning that Jeffrey Epstein, along with other rich hedge fund managers and billionaires, they were in a circle. They all lived in New York. They always hung out in New York. Obviously, they're in a circle. Trump was at a party. They asked him about his guests. They asked him about Epstein personally, and he said this. Okay, so you could take that. You could take that two ways, and it's a lot of these things you can take it a lot of different ways. But
I mean, like, for me, I have no love for Trump. I have no for a second, I wouldn't doubt that Trump would say something like that about a guy like this, because I mean, like, we've heard even during Trump's election things he said that would horrify a lot of people, like the whole grab him by the pussy and stuff. Like a lot of people are just like, oh my god, and then people that support him are like, yeah, it's no big deal. I'm like, okay, like, I feel like people like are willing to, people who are like kind of blindly support Trump are just completely willing to move that line like wherever they need to.
Yeah.
They're constantly like shifting the goalposts. And then if you kind of bring in somebody who he's had some shady ties with in the past, and then you say like, okay, this person's outed now as being this horrible person, I was like, yeah, like, I haven't looked into it too much yet because I'm still kind of getting caught up on this, but I'm seeing.
That's
the same thing, just pushing forward.
You cut out there for a second. I thought the Clintons got you, but
No,
but then again, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Because if I'm like, I get it though, because you can take it the innocent way, which I mean, it's sleazy but innocent. Yeah, you're a billionaire, and let's say I'm 50. I'm a billionaire. I'm fucking 25-year-olds. I'm sorry. Yeah. Like, I'm fucking 25-year-olds if I can fuck 25-year-olds, Like,
here's my other thing, though. Like, I mean, let's look into maybe the past. God, I don't even know how long he's been in business for so long. Let's just say the past 30 years of how many positive things really famous people have probably said about Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, there you go.
Hold on. We got a comment here from the YouTube. Karen Camille said, the New York Times reported a few days ago Epstein blamed Trump for the trouble in the Palm Beach police. Palm Beach police, that is. Yes, this is live. Yes, this is live because we're answering you. Find it.
Real quick before we move on, I need to know because, like I said,
I do want to say one thing.
Okay.
Funny thing that you mentioned Palm Beach. I did not really hear about that particular situation. But one thing I did realize or found out was that one of the lawyers from the original Epstein case in 2002 is actually the sheriff of the Palm Beach Police Department.
Okay, just real quick, because like I said, I'm getting caught up on this stuff. Jeffrey Epstein, and I'm assuming because he's getting like everything I'm reading like is automatically connecting him to Trump. Now, where like politically, where does he lie on?
Democrat.
Right.
Democrat.
Okay.
I don't know about left or right, but
Because
Democrat.
I've seen you punch his name and you see like Vox and all these all these like ridiculously liberal media outlets like hard pushing him to try to connect him with Trump. But then I'm like, like, is he like Trump, where he would originally was a Democrat, but now it's more convenient to label him as a Republican because you can further bash him, like kind of thing? Like, what I'm trying to figure out the whole actual story here. Like,
okay. So Epstein is connected with and he's even tried to give himself credit for starting the Clinton Foundation and starting the Clinton Foundation. I think Michael and Scott mentioned earlier that he was involved in what was the Clinton Initiative, and he donated
basically the same.
Yeah, basically the same. Okay.
Yeah,
so and he also donated to the Clintons in the 2016 election. So yeah, he's hardcore Democrat, and so is Trump. Like Michael pointed out when he was saying these things about Jeffrey Epstein.
And honestly, we haven't really even gotten too much into Epstein himself. I mean, we've been kind of getting into the weeds a little bit.
Because I've seen that he's been accused like plenty of like sexual predatory, but like I've also like what's coming up for me is that he's being accused of like trafficking, like sex trafficking now.
Well, what is it? I don't think sex trafficking technically counts for crossing state lines.
Yeah, I don't know, because here's the thing that too, because like it's like I said, like I'm kind of doing like a brief catch up on this. It's mostly like the first things that come up are all like kind of like obvious leftist leaning sites, and then they're definitely using some vague terms. They're not going into specifics.
Yeah.
Like I'll say like Epstein sounds like a complete garbage person to me, but like, I'm also like, well, I need to know like more. I need to know specifics. And then when I'm like trying to get like the kind of like a shotgun blast like off the internet, it's obviously like heavily slanted, and it's not even about Epstein himself. It's more about who he's connected with. And then that's where I'm like, okay, that's where you see the political bias come into play. It's not even about him himself. If he was connected to no politicians, nobody would care.
Yeah, no, exactly right, exactly right. And I don't want to steal the mic time that much, but
go for it.
I touched on it. I touched on it earlier. I just Googled Trump on Epstein to look for the quote that I referenced earlier. I've got let's see. I've got 3 pictures of Donald Trump, not Epstein, but fucking Donald Trump.
Yeah, I know.
Look at this. Look at
and then I see CNN and New York Times right off the bat.
Look at the Salon article. In case you can't read this here, it says Jeffrey Epstein is Donald Trump's idea of the perfect man. What the fuck, man?
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's more about who he was connected with rather than the guy himself. Because I'm thinking, okay, like let's say the past, I don't know, we don't even have to go back that far, maybe like 4 years.
I got you.
The whole MeToo stuff started coming up.
Yeah.
It's always about the sex offender. It's always about who he is, what he's done, who he's offended. I'm trying to look into this guy and try to figure out, okay, who is he like who has he been going after? Exactly what wrong has he done? But everybody seems to be more concerned with who he's politically connected with. And I'm like,
exactly.
Well, now red flags are showing up for me.
And that's what's making the impact. I've got a Google Trends up right now. I have a Google Trends up right now on Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, so this is the past 5 years. I've got a spike in 15, which probably had something to do with some kind of litigation that was going on. I've got about 4 spikes around about 2016. That's when I first heard about the man during the election and the whole like Pizzagate, Pedogate conspiracy thing going on. Yeah. And I'm going to show you this again. So these are spikes, right? But then right now in the last week, I'm going to show you what the spike is. Let me know if you can see that there. I know it's kind of weird.
It's coming in. It's coming in low. Yeah, okay.
Can you see the spike here? This is in 15. This is in 16. And this line goes all the way up to here.
That's nuts.
Here. Over the last week. So that's how much attention.
Do you have a link for that? I just want to check that out.
Yeah, go to if you go to Google Trends, you can search. You can search any topic.
Just okay.
And it'll show you how popular that search topic is.
No, I saw that like crazy climb because it's just kind of like nobody cares, nobody cares, nobody cares. Somebody a little bit cares, nobody cares, nobody cares. Somebody a little bit cares, nobody cares for a long time. Everybody cares. I was like, okay, that's ridiculous. And that's why, okay, like, and I want to make it clear when I'm saying this. This guy sounds like an absolute scumbag to me. Fuck Epstein. I have no love for this guy. He sounds like an absolute horrible person. I hope, he dies in a fire. But I'm also like, why are we not more concerned with what he's doing wrong as opposed to who he's connected with? Like it's immediately drawn to the political. It's immediately drawn to because like I searched Jeffrey Epstein and I saw Donald Trump's name more than I saw Epstein. I'm like, wait.
But let me ask you this question: Is it worth him getting less years in prison if he drops some of these powerful motherfuckers that he's about to drop?
Okay, if Epstein can like fucking put like some heavy politicians behind bars, I would actually be okay with him. Like he still needs to pay, obviously, but I would be okay with him like having some kind of a plea deal. Yeah. If he could like be willing to put some like actual political people like fucking behind bars, because it's both the right and the left. It's not one versus the other as the media wants you to have to believe. It's both sides. Neither side has ever been innocent of this kind of stuff. Like you can go into either side and find all kinds of stories of things to be concerned with. Like it's always there. It's always there.
And it's not just politicians. You're talking about Hollywood elites and basically any
people
kind
that have
of
influence.
I mean, look at the I don't know if this is at all connected, but this was in Florida, the Robert Kraft situation, and it's like Robert Kraft, he's the owner of the New England Patriots.
Okay.
So
that explains it. I'm like sports illiterate.
This whole incident actually happened the night after a big game, and this big game was all the way in Kansas City. So basically, like he flew from Kansas City, to Florida within like 10 hours before going home like later that day. He goes all the way into like this rinky-dink part of Florida. Like it's not Miami, it's not any main part of Florida. It's kind of like a little shore town that has a cheap little massage parlor. And he goes in there and gets a rub and tug, so to speak. And basically what's happening is there's a sting operation where the police aren't really doing anything about the massage parlor that they know is doing prostitution things. But they're like just kind of like stopping the people for minor traffic infractions that are coming out of it just to kind of get a tab on it. So needless to say, when a Florida cop catches the owner of the Patriots trying to get a bunch of hookers in Florida, like, oh yeah, we're definitely gonna say something. Fuck the patch, and that story just got dissolved like so quick, and there was so much shadiness to it because like at first you just kind of hear it's he just going in for rubber tag, like, oh, like what's wrong with that? Like he's an old rich man, like let him go get his dick sucked, whatever. And it's like then the news comes out like, oh, this person might have been underage. It's like, oh, and it's like, oh, this person may have been actually sex trafficked and like been held without their will to these situations. And it's like, okay, now we're talking about a completely different fucking situation.
I think that's something too interesting to bring up though too, is like specifically because when I see like certain like celebrities here and there's charges brought against them, it just seems like they're just some like asshole pervert who is like pushing themselves on women when they're saying no. But then when you see somebody who's in like a really high position of power, who has a lot of influence, that's more when the concept of sex trafficking seems to come into play. It's almost like they have people to hit up and be like, oh, hey, I want this. That's more when it starts like it comes up a lot more with politicians or people like really, really high up in like financial stuff. So
Well, I
I mean,
mean, it's on all levels, really. But I mean,
no, it's on all levels. But I noticed there's definitely a higher
yeah,
trend when it comes to
yeah.
politicians of
You,
like it involving minors more.
Your crack dealer pimp isn't gonna have the means to fly girls in from
Yes.
southern Russia into like the Cayman Islands and shit like that. Like,
Well, I would say too, like you don't even have to look beyond politicians really. If you actually look into like the Fogel thing, like that subway fuck, that like the fat fuck
Jared.
that lost weight.
Jared.
Jared. I couldn't think of his name. I just remember Fogel because I don't know, something about that name just seemed creepy to me. But like he like was obviously invested in that stuff to the point that he was like he would fly like overseas and like have people waiting for him. It was like this guy was so rich, like he had contacts, and that's when you start seeing that more up is like when you start seeing a lot of these like higher up politicians, higher up people that like have a lot of money. And when the whole minor thing starts coming in, it's not just that they like were randomly hitting up some minor on the internet. It's that somebody brought somebody to them kind of thing. And that's where it gets so incredibly creepier to me.
Because then you create this whole web. It's like I said, it's not like the crack dealer that finds like the 15-year-old girl that is skipping high school, and then like I mean that's also really, really bad and equally as bad as well.
For sure.
But it's not in the same ballpark. Like these guys like are like going into like different countries and basically like pulling girls for the purpose to
Well, see, I'll sit here and
scandal.
I'll sit here and argue that you said it's equally bad, but in a different ballpark. I'll push more that it's in a different ballpark. I obviously.
It's not a different ballpark, but it's different levels.
No. I mean, I think saying it's equally bad because here's the thing. I mean, I talked about how taboo and how like just how unspeakable like child abuse is in any society throughout history, and it's pretty interesting to me. It really is. It's unspeakable. It's so taboo. You almost have a disclaimer from anybody talking about this is always got to be like, well, let me just say that like hurting, doing this at all is evil. But I really think there's some extra fucking evil going on here. Like,
I don't know, like everybody's here. How many of you guys are parents? I don't know.
I'm not. I'm not.
I don't know if anybody has kids. Like,
not that I know about.
My oldest is going to be 9 next month, and like seriously, there'll be like things I'll watch on TV and stuff, and like when it involves some like girl that was like kidnapped or like something where just like things were forced on her and like or she was tortured in some way, and it just like. It literally makes me sick to my stomach. Like I've almost thrown up.
It really.
The thought of my daughter ever having to go through that.
It's crazy because it gets to that. It gets to that part of you that is beyond emotion.
Because, it's primal.
Because
primal.
I've experienced being like above and beyond emotion and in certain like states.
I don't
have to go into that. But
you have a sister or sister-in-law. Like you don't have to have a daughter.
You really feel that. But I still want to say, at the risk of sounding like unsympathetic, you have like the drunken uncle who can't get access to anybody else and abuses the niece or whatever. Yes, it's fucked up. It's evil. But you almost get to a level where you have people systematically abusing groups of children for political power or maybe even some kind of like dark art shit. And to me, it's in a different fucking ballpark. We're talking about like some evil shit. Yeah. Evil for the sake of evil, not primal for the sake of pleasure. I think there's a difference that needs to be pointed out.
I understand that. To add a layer to what I was saying too, like my daughter was actually taken advantage of by one of my younger brothers, exposed himself to her when we had entrusted him to watch my daughter when I was taking my wife to an appointment for our second child. And when we found that out, I threw him out of the house, obviously. And people are like I've actually had people say like, weren't you kind of harsh to him? I was like, I didn't punch him in the back of the head when I was following him down the stairs. I was pretty fucking nice. But like, you know, I've had nothing to do with him since. As far as I'm concerned, he is not family to me whatsoever. I never want anything to do with him again. I don't care what kind of apologies come my way. But, you know, I was like, that to me alone was just so horrific. And so like, and like, she wasn't actually touched. That alone was so horrific to me. I cannot even imagine, like, just the thought, like, just the thought of having to, like, know that somebody went through that is so, like, it fucks with you. It fucks with you so bad.
I've heard a lot of
to know
stories.
that other
Parents,
like other brothers and sisters, you know, like aunts and uncles, like, are just knowing that, like, you know, their family members out there somewhere. Yeah. They don't know where they are. They don't know what's happening to them. And then, like, you have to hear about this kind of stuff in the news. Like, that just, like, it wrecks me to a level I can't even explain. Like I said, it physically makes me ill.
And here's the thing. I'm not trying to, like, undermine that situation.
No. I didn't think you were getting there, yeah.
But I really do think there's something beyond sexual that's going on.
Yeah, no, it's a power thing. That's
it's like that's what's crazy, you know. And
that's actually, if you move into like a lot of rape cases, like, because like if you see what like the people who are like, well, you don't need a gun, like if you just piss yourself or say you're on your period, and I'm like, for rapists, they're not going to give a fuck. It's not about the actual intercourse for them. It's about the power control move. Like, that's where that kind of stuff comes into play, and that definitely comes into play with things like pedophilia. It's a power trip. If you ever look into things like the way they groom kids, like they're always trying to, like, it's a constant power play, the way they talk to them. It's so terrifying to think about that kind of stuff.
That's what it is. But, it's the ultimate power trip. It's the ultimate power trip for people in power that aren't getting the power trip from being in power anymore. You know, so what do you
like, Tyler, right? What you said there was, I feel like, sums up exactly it. Like, it's these people who have so much power, and then they feel like they need to have that much more. Yeah. And this is another way for them to experience that. And it's like this twisted mindset that some of these people get into, and it's just, it's sick and it's disturbing. And like the thing, like, because as I'm reading up on Epstein, like, this isn't news to anybody who's paid attention. This was like 10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Charges came against him, and everybody was just like, yeah, it's fine. Like, yeah, whatever. And everybody cozied up to him still. And I'm like, yeah, you got like enough money and everything. You got to get enough lawyer. You can make stuff just disappear. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's insane.
I do want to say I want to bring Scott into this because he has a lot of insight and stuff.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask, or like at least move the conversation. How does this affect the 2020 election, or how does this idea of a secret elite circles affect us moving forward politically in this country or abroad? You know.
Mm.
Man.
You there, Scott?
I have no idea. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
That, Chris.
Do I need to repeat it, or do you have any thoughts on it? Or do you wanna...
No, I don't have any thoughts on this right now. I haven't thought of that. Let's see.
You caught him after a bong hit.
I do feel like this whole Epstein thing is going to be featured heavily in the leftist campaigns.
What's gonna happen? You know, this big name drop's gonna happen, and even if Trump's on it, like, all right, if Trump's on it, they're gonna be talking about it forever. But once, you know, there's no repercussions and it doesn't cause Trump to be out of office, they're not gonna care, and they're gonna go on to the next thing.
Well, here's the thing: is you already
set
that up. They're already trying to push that narrative. It's not even 2020 yet, and they're already trying to make that connection because they're. Like, literally, I was trying to specifically find Epstein's relationship with left politicians, and all I could find was Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's obvious there's a narrative being pushed there, and we're not even there yet to that election. And, like, they're already trying to – I feel like it's going to come up. It's going to be pushed at least one time big. It's going to be brought up and pushed heavily, especially considering whatever the actual fallout of this is. You know, if whatever the fallout of this is like just really huge, they're going to try to bring it up at least once just to remind the public and try to make one connection with Trump.
Oh yeah, and they'll obviously bring it up in the myriad of like because people still talk about the grab him by the pussy thing. It's they just try and add layers to it. And like,
I mean, like seriously, how much do you want to bet there's going to be at least one leftist politician that suddenly comes out in huge favor of cryptocurrencies now because Trump came out against them? Like, there's going to be one leftist like, no, Bitcoin, that's really good. Anything he says, somebody's going to find some reason of like why he's wrong, even if like in the long run they don't either they don't care or they.
It's going to be AOC. It's going to be AOC before she realizes she can't tax it.
I'll bet you. Right? I'll bet you 0.001 Bitcoin it doesn't happen.
The Bitcoin stuff doesn't come up.
No. I'll bet you 0.001 Bitcoin. What is that like $100? It doesn't fucking happen. Like, because I don't think any side is gonna go against the currency issue.
Yeah, I'm gonna tweet Andrew Yang right now to get my $100.
No, that's actually interesting though, because for my mind, I felt like it was an obvious, but yeah, like I mean, I feel like maybe the closer we get to the election, the less people are going to care about it. Because honestly, I have friends on the left and right. And when Trump made those comments, they were the ones that cared the least.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be added on, like I said, but it's like, once it comes down to it, it's like, once it stops involving Trump, people are going to stop caring about the actual situation. They're going to move on to the next thing. And then we're all going to be able to sit there like, okay, so now you don't give a fuck about this situation. Like, you really only cared about Trump's involvement in it.
This is a little off topic, and I hope you don't mind me, because this is a question, like, that's kind of been in the back of my head for a little while. Do you think there will be at least one Republican that will slightly rival Trump in the primaries?
Yeah, Bill Weld has a great chance.
I'll say yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say yeah.
I have nobody in mind, but I feel like at least one person's going to get there. One person's going to get there.
I mean, if anything, Justin Amash, if he runs either independent or as a libertarian, may get a little bit, he might get a little bit more headway than Gary Johnson, because he at least like
Amash should be smarter to run.
Yeah, because he's well, it's like he's already left the Republican Party recently.
Yeah.
So that's not going to happen. But he at least has already the public tirade, with Trump. So it's like he's already got that in, his resume. People already know who he is. Democrats everywhere like cheer his name despite not knowing anything about him. Like, yeah, he stood up to Trump.
Like, as long as you have somebody that's anti-Trump, like that's a good. Like, honestly, for a Republican, all you really got to be is anti-Trump, and you can count on some leftist votes.
Hey, well, Bill Weld not only is anti-Trump, he's pro-Hillary.
Yeah, but Bill Weld is a fucking moron. So
oh, of course.
I don't know how far he's going to make it this time.
What politician the race isn't? I mean, we're talking about Marianne Williamson here.
Yeah, Bill Weld's a special case, though.
Hey, what's up? Fuck you guys. So here's a question for all of you. Out of the people that that supported Trump 2016 and onward, has anybody recanted? Has anybody that that is a Trump guy been like, you know what, I'm not going Trump 2020?
Like my best friend, actually.
Really? Okay.
He voted for Trump. He was all in. We had several conversations beforehand, and like he actually had this attitude of like, yeah, if Trump fucks up on something, like, I'm not going to just blindly support him. Like, I voted for him. I want him to do the right thing. If I feel like he's fucking things up, I'm going to be pissed.
Okay.
Because I thought he could do the job. And since then, like, especially in the past, like, year, like, my God, the level of just Trump jokes from this dude has like skyrocketed, and like I've heard him like more and more. Like if I talk about just libertarian stuff casually, he just sounds more interested. Like, and there's more things like he's kind of connecting with, and he's still pretty Republican at heart. But like I could definitely see him like if there's a viable candidate, he will in a heartbeat vote against Trump, because like Trump, like I mean. I don't think a lot of people who are just very blind to it, but you also have a lot of people who voted for him thinking he was going to be a certain way, and then like you start to like If you have the
Scott,
eyesight for it, you can
Michael.
start to see like, oh, he's no different.
No, I think
Yeah,
it's
that
going to
doesn't
be
mean
a
they're not gonna vote for him though.
it's going
Yeah, I
to
was
be
gonna say, Scott,
it's going to be a vastly different game because it's like you have two factors. It's like the people that kind of like realize he didn't quite, bring everything that he promised, or
yeah,
things aren't gonna
for sure.
weren't quite what they expected. But then you have that, bunch of people that are like, oh, I thought Trump was gonna be a walking disaster, and he's actually not been,
Oh yeah,
half bad.
yeah.
So
Scott,
it's like,
I want to ask you both. I want to hear. I want to hear an answer from all of you though. Like,
I was gonna real quick though, like if I can, because it sounded like Scott was saying something.
Yeah.
Like right before Michael went in. If you want to go for that.
Yeah, that still doesn't mean like they're not gonna vote for him though. It's just that Trump's more like kind of wishy-washy. Because honestly, you don't really know where Trump's going half the time.
Like I said, for my friend, like I said, if there's a viable candidate, I feel like
exactly.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. I feel the same way. I'm a Trump voter. That's why I put on the hat, because I wanted to put on the hat for asking the question. Actually, so I live outside of Houston. I went to the Houston Trump rally. It was awesome, and I bought a hat there. I was like, yeah, I voted for Trump. I support Trump, but I get this air that it's more about like a purpose when you like from Trump voters than it is like a anti-purpose. You know what I mean? So in other words, if it's like if Trump doesn't get the achieve the purpose, we're willing to accept that and like vote our conscience toward that purpose.
Well,
but
I do feel like if I can, I do feel like Trump has sort of become this like anti-Obama figure, and that like the way people like the left treated Obama, because you would bring up these
you're right.
Well, Obama did this and Obama did that, and they're like, well, it doesn't matter. And then I'm talking to Trump, like some Trump people, and it's the same reaction when I try to bring up criticism.
I agree.
It's just push off, and I feel like you kind of get this same like weird blind devotion between both sides. So like you have to start like, and that's where I do feel like anybody who's going to have a chance has to start appealing more towards the center. Those people who aren't so blind that they can't be swayed, the people who are just iffy. Find some foothold, find something that they believe in, find something that they're iffy on, whether it be Trump or it be who the fuck ends up in the Democrat section.
Right. I agree.
I just got 3 words for you. Secure the bag.
I feel like Yang's just a meme at this point, man. I really
you know what? Like honestly, like I kind of thought so too.
Everybody thought Trump was a meme.
No, but Trump was a meme, and that propelled him. But I feel like there was a little bit more substance.
I mean, like Johnson was a meme too. Like I don't want to give him too much credit, but like the fact that I knew so many people that were diehard for Bernie Sanders and so many people that were diehard for Donald Trump, the two like least likely candidates in my mind, I'm having a hard time.
Yeah,
most person even in the polls. I'm like, the polls that said Hillary Clinton was going to win. Like, sure, that makes sense. Like, I don't even know at this point, and all I can really do is just kind of sit back and wait. And like, I'll speak my mind on it because pretty much I don't care who runs for the left or right. There's most likely I'm not going to vote for them. But
what do you think about the Democrat candidates?
Well, I don't think. Let me just say, I don't think Andrew Yang has any chance whatsoever. But in response to the whole "he's just a meme" thing, he's actually really smart. He's for like actually changing things around. So it's like there's a lot of things that conservatives will like about him because it's like he's trying to do some things, and it's like, all right, the conservatives aren't gonna like that. But then the answers to how he's gonna fix that, the conservatives are gonna like. So I kind of see him as like a great unifier. Like if there's a unifying guy, it's him.
Yeah, I think the thing that Yang has going for him on the conservative side is that he's kind of batshit crazy, and that seems to be working for them lately.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we want that. We want that.
I want to say, in answer to Scott's question, because he said, "What do you think about the Democrats?" I think that's what he said. Like for me, the only one that has actually stood out is I don't even know how to pronounce her name. Tulsi, is it Tulsi?
Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah,
Tulsi Gabbard.
I'm gonna say Gabbard.
And that's just because she is the only left person I've seen in a long time that has come out very, very much anti-war. And for so long, I've been like, where is this anti-war left at? Like, there's a lot of stuff I disagree with her on, very much disagree with her on. But honestly, like, if I was just like, and I'm talking just in the realm of Democrats, nobody else outside of that realm involved, I would vote for her because, like, I mean, like, if I had to,
I see that.
But she sticks closely, like, to more of that. Where, like, okay, we don't need to do this, we don't need to do that, and she's like, even though I don't agree with the way she wants to go about it, her focus is more on us as opposed to the rest of the world.
Yeah, I mean, I
feel like that's a better position to take.
Yeah, I don't think she's really like as good of a pick as a lot of people are making her out to be.
Oh no, I
think she has like just enough policies to make her a decent candidate, and then it's like, oh well, she's all right looking, so it's like, yeah, she's even better than all the other people that are kind of like her.
For me, she's still bottom of the barrel, but she's like that surface level of shit, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that,
put policies on him.
I mean, that's how AOC got elected. It's like, well, we got all these nutbag socialists, but this one has fucking huge titties.
That's why, like, if there's no third party. If there's no third party, I probably won't vote because I'm like, for me, if it's for the president, I'm not gonna vote Tulsi Gabbard. Like, I will cheer her on to get the advance because I feel like some of the stuff she says is some of the shit the left needs to actually hear, and I would like be for that. It's the same reason, like, I didn't vote for Gary Johnson because I thought he was going to become president. It was because I wanted to give the Libertarian Party like a bigger boost than they've ever had before, and show that, like, okay, there's more than just two sides. Like, it's kind of like when you do vote, like, it's not necessarily for you. Like, sometimes you do have to play the long game. It's like, like, this person's not going to win this year, but hey, maybe giving them more attention might actually be beneficial towards people because, like, since what's his name that, like, he passed away recently, like Ross Perot, was it?
Yeah.
People probably completely forgot that there could be three parties. Like, like I do remember because it was I was in elementary when this happened, and they called me up, and they're like, this kid from my class, because they were doing like this school election thing, and he's like, who would you vote for? And he's like, would it be Bill Clinton or Bob Dole? And I was like, I don't know who either of those people are. I was like, yeah, I don't know Bill Clinton because
it actually ended up being Kang and Kodos.
Yeah, right, Kang and Kodos. But like, I voted Bill Clinton because, like, as far like he was the only name I recognized. I was a kid, obviously, but like, here's the thing too, though, is my parents never talked politics to me. I talked politics to my daughter a lot, but I never push her towards something. I always want to know her opinion on something. I do remember this last election. She was in kindergarten. Her school, which was pre-K through 8th grade. Their entire school did a poll, and in the entire school, she was literally the only one that voted Libertarian. They didn't even know, like, they didn't actually expect anybody. Like, she would flat out said Gary Johnson, and they were kind of like, who, like, kind of thing of like, he's not on the list. Yeah, like, she was the only one because she was like, who would you guys vote for? And I was like, well, personally, I would vote for him. And this is why I would vote for him. And this is why I wouldn't vote for the other people. And she, I'm like, I'm not going to tell you, because my wife, and she'll admit to this, she's kind of like politically illiterate. Before she's even said in like past elections, she's like, well, I want to know who you're going to vote for, so I know who I should vote for. And I'm like, do not do that. Like, do not vote for who I'm voting for just because I'm voting for them. I want you to vote for somebody because you actually believe in that person. And it's funny because I pushed that so hard this last election, she actually became libertarian because she started reading stuff on every candidate, and she's like, this makes way more sense to me than everything else.
You know what, like, honestly, you shouldn't mess up a beautiful thing, because like, if this happens all the time, it's like women never actually got the right to vote. They just listen to their man. Like, I'm just gonna vote twice. I got a wife.
It's like, actually, like, because the first election from when we were together, she voted for Obama, and I vote. I don't know, fuck who I voted. What was that other asshole's name? John McCain. Like, so I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't like Obama. I don't really fucking care. I was like, just out of the military. I was a libertarian. caring yet. I didn't like Obama. That's all I knew.
John
So I didn't
McCain,
care. And then I was like, yeah, and she was like, well, I like what he has to say. But I kind of noticed like through like, the next year, it was more like she was like, well, I like what he had to say. And then like over the next 4 years, it was like he's not really doing any of the things he said. Like, it's kind of interesting to watch this person who had this like such fake campaign.
John McCain is
Go ahead.
probably
No, go ahead.
my favorite like ridiculous thing that the left has done in the age of Trump.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden everyone loves John McCain. I'm like why? Since when? Like
right.
Like
yeah, no,
why?
That was weird.
What?
That was weird.
It's like they're like, oh, you should respect the man because he served for his country and got captured and blah blah. I'm like, since when do you give a shit about that? And like, of all POWs, John McCain. Like there's so many fucking POWs. Like donate to a fucking cause or something.
How many veterans in like Prisoners of War in Congress and the Senate alone?
It's like oh we should always respect the POWs, but let's only talk about how much we like the POW that like caused so many fucking wars.
He was an American hero.
No, that was the beautiful thing about it though, is I've actually because I will admit, I grew up in a very, very Republican background. I joined the military, I joined the Army, and I went literally 12 days after I graduated high school, I went to boot camp. So I carried that belief over because I hadn't had a lot of experience in the real world yet. And then as I was getting ready, because I voted for Bush. I can't say I voted for Bush because I was overseas when that election happened, and I know they didn't count that.
Wait, how old?
Oh, you were one of those overseas ballots that fucked everything up.
How old is this fucking dude?
I'm 34.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Not that far.
Yeah. No. I was overseas when that election happened, and I remember my girlfriend at the time was very anti-Bush. And I remember her messaging me because I was asleep when the whole election thing was happening because I was on the other side of the country, and I woke up and I had this email from her. I was like, "What?" She was like, "Well, I guess you got your wish." And I was like, "I just didn't really care." I was like, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't think my vote counted. There's no way they got that in time." But I was like, whatever. And the time, because that's when the time I really first started actually paying attention a little bit, because I was all I knew, what the fuck is that guy's name? John Kerry, was that it?
Yeah, John Kerry.
Because I was just that guy seems like he would create a Frankenstein monster. There's just a mad science vibe about him. He just seems like he's waiting to do something really evil. I was just I don't know. It's just every time he would talk, he would say something, and he would say it with such passion and conviction. And then the next sentence, it would be completely turned around. And I'm like, wait, people are falling for this? People are listening? Because, I'm still a naive teenager at this time. I'm a teenager at this time. I'm 19 years old, and I'm listening to all this political stuff for the first time in my life, really. And I'm just this is what people are, getting all up in arms about? This is insane. Both of these people are crazy. This guy seems slightly less crazy, and, kind of defaulted to, well, he was already president and we didn't die yet. So, kind of thing, and I just voted for Bush. The first Obama election came around, and I was still a little indifferent. It wasn't until the second one came around, then I kind of started paying attention more, and I was actually watching debates and stuff, and I'm just
you know what? I saw the bullshit from Obama from the very beginning because I kind of saw what it was. It was a ploy to target certain voter groups that young voters. Inner city voters, and it's the only issue that they saw, and it's all right, good, good for them, they have some representation, but it's that's all it became about, and I saw right through that's the guys.
It was amazing thing because during this first election, I remember I was working at Target at the time because I had just gotten out of the Army, and I was doing maintenance work at a Target in Wisconsin. And all these people I worked with were just so anti-right, and they had these bumper stickers that said on their cars that said McCain would be Bush's third term, and I'm just yeah, Obama's gonna win because he's not white. Like
Yeah.
that's why he's gonna win, isn't it? Because
Well,
like everybody kind of associated him like McCain is this old white guy, Bush was an old white guy, and then Obama got into office, and it's like, oh wait, he's the second, he's the third Bush term, isn't he? And then suddenly, like it kind of like switched. Like it wasn't so much about like like Obama fucked up so much that in the last election, the fucking left was pushing more old white guys at us, and like an old white lady. Who was basically a guy.
Well, no, what they were really pushing that last year was the woman president, and like,
oh yeah, no, they were latching onto that hardcore.
yeah, like because they were like, oh, we got the president of color, black president, whatever, and now we want the women president. It's like, your average Joe nobody was sitting there like, oh well, that's how it happened with the voting rights. First the blacks got it, now the women have it. Now it's time to then it just becomes that mentality of like, oh, what
anymore? You're voting for PC.
I'm not saying vote Andrew Yang because I think we're ready for an Asian president. I'm saying vote Andrew Yang because I think he's the best candidate out there, and he's not even that great. Like,
I would say for me, like here's a thing where I noticed that I kind of sense, because like you'll actually see a lot of like Democrats right now, and they're still talking about like Hillary Clinton's the only person who could defeat Trump. I'm like, yo, that one election.
No, she's the only person that could not defeat Trump.
Yeah, like here was the Republicans' game plan for like the second election in Obama's presidency, where they're like, here's a really good idea I got, guys. We're gonna try to elect the guy who lost to the guy who lost to Obama. That's totally going to win this time. And I'm like, no, don't bring in Hillary. Why would you fucking do that? She's one of the worst people alive. Like, nobody likes her. She was so bad that they were cheating and they still lost. And that's how bad she was. They were like literally cheating to try to make sure she got the fucking presidency, and they still lost. Like, you can't become more of a horrible person than that. Like, the only thing Trump had for him was that he hadn't been a politician before. Like it was one of those situations, because I remember one of the chief, and I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent again. I'll wrap up in a second. One of the chief things Obama had against him in his first election was his lack of experience. And it's funny how experience was actually what played against Hillary, because her entire political career was so shitty and so shady. People would have rather voted for this insane orange-haired carrot person that like was just off his fucking rocker and like just like yelling. And like it was actually one of those things, like I don't like Trump, but like watching those elections when he would just like cut and be like wrong, or be like, yeah, because you'd go to jail and stuff like that.
Well, it's kind of like in sports. It's like Hillary Clinton is basically Jay Cutler. It's like, I'll take any rookie off the fucking board over Jay Cutler. Like, we've seen what he is. He sucks.
Basically. Yeah, and like that's what it was. That's exactly what that was. It's like
we could put an all-star. We could put an all-star cabinet. We could put an all-star wide receiver around him. Like, nothing's getting done.
That election was, I would rather have a person who has no idea what he's doing than have this specific person who knows exactly what she's doing.
Right.
When you're that bad, never run again. You fucked up beyond control. Nobody's ever going to vote for you again.
Yeah, and that was like the golden opportunity. Like, that's like in Star Wars Return of the Jedi, like they shut off the thing for the Death Star to like actually allow you to attack it, and you have 5 seconds to get into that motherfucking Death Star and blow the whole thing up and save the fucking universe. And then you got the stupidest fucking pilot in there, like, dude, like fucks everything up, and like that was our one chance. Thanks a lot, asshole.
That's like
you had one chance.
Like a New Hope of Luke Skywalker missed like that fucking final like shot, like it's all counting on you, and then he misses, and it's just like, well, we're fucked now. Like, I guess we can't do anything. Like,
it's like he was in his head like, oh, you use the Force. So it's like, yeah, fuck you, asshole. I'm using my fucking technology.
And see, this is where the thing I've always said to people was like, stop voting for the lesser of two evils. Stop voting for who you think is going to beat the next person. Vote for who you think is going to be the best at that job. And like, for one, because that's one of the things is like, I remember me and my wife having this conversation with this person. It was because my daughter was like, she was in kindergarten at this time. And she, during that whole like it was like right before she went into kindergarten. And this lady was like, yeah, like I voted for Clinton. And she kind of like, it was very obviously she did not like Clinton. And my wife was like, well, I didn't vote for either of them, so my conscience is clean. Just like, I voted for who I thought would do a good job. Like,
we have a big percent, like the biggest percentage didn't vote at all. You know.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's one of the things. When everybody says like, well, Hillary won the popular vote, I'm like, no, you want to know who won the popular vote? Nobody.
And that's the thing.
Nobody for president 2020.
And you can argue that most people are just disengaged and just don't care and live their day-to-day life. Or the fact that most people, as myself, in previous elections, recognize that it didn't really matter, you know, and whoever you voted for was selected. You know, my vote for Trump, first and foremost, was a vote for the hope that we had somebody that would shake things up enough that you could like see what the elite, what's he call it? The deep state, you know, so you could see what the deep state would make a move in response. It was almost like when a cosmologist tries to view a black hole. You can't view it directly, but you can see how the light affects. And that was my vote. I wasn't voting for Clinton because at the time I was younger and I was just getting into politics and my whole thing was like, yeah, okay, so she's fucking definitely dirty. And I was like, obviously. The Clintons killed Seth Rich, obviously, you know, and like so I was like, I'm not voting for her, you know. I liked Bernie going in. And then I saw this shit happen, and I was like, no. So I'm voting for Trump as a big fuck you. Let me look into this guy. And I was like, you know what? I think he's enough to shake it up for me to see what's going on a little bit.
That's my thing. It's like I'm super anti-Trump, and I've been pretty much anti-Trump from the day. But like I don't actually hold any ill will towards people who voted for Trump. Like I said, my best friend in the world voted for Trump. I didn't for a second like challenge his decision to, because I'm just like, yeah, I'd get why you would vote for him. Like given your options.
I don't see
like I don't you got shitty options. You're voting for who you think is best. I get it. Like,
but that's the thing. I don't see anything to be disappointed about any more than it normally was. Unless you want to be one of those people that believes in like a perfect utopia, and it's like, well, he didn't give us all fucking infinite blowjobs. And it's like, well, yeah, of course, but I don't. Not
yet. The guy I voted for didn't win, and I was still disappointed in him.
I will tell you, Tyler, that the national blowjobs will be coming in 2020. That's what he's going to base his whole platform on.
Fuck yeah!
He realized he needs all the votes he can, and incels is the biggest audience and most underrepresented audience.
That's it. That's the number one. That's the new minority. That's a new protected minority.
That's I don't have any favor for Trump, but the only time I'm gonna really go against somebody who voted for Trump is when they're just like in that completely blind mode where they're just willing to accept his faults and try to explain it away.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You can vote. You can be supportive of him. I'm like, you can be supportive of Obama, but you have to be willing to admit the faults. And that's like me and my best friend are that way. Like, he just like, yeah, I voted for Obama. I really appreciate a lot of the stuff, but like, what? Just sign off of Twitter, dude. Like, just get off of Twitter. Just shut up one day. Like, just take one day. Just shut up. Like, he says that all the time. He's just like, why can't somebody just take his phone away from him?
Well, it's funny because I have so many friends that are Obama supporters, and it's like, I'm like, I'll agree where it's like I like the things they did, and like I'd name out like a bunch of things like the Cuba situation. Like I'm like, I wasn't huge on the Iran situation, but I think it was kind of a good step. Like I gave him credit. It's like what they would say to me, like every time I actually made a valid point to where Obama did well, like, oh, I didn't know he did that,
right?
Like
every president every president since I've been alive, I've not liked, but every president since I've been alive, I can acknowledge that they've done some good.
Yeah.
You cannot get into presidency and just entirely fuck things up.
Right.
Oh, I
You
mean,
will do some good.
I guess you can. Don't put the challenge out there. I guess. But
But
you know,
here-
my point was like, you know, they're such big supporters, but they don't know shit about what's going on. Like,
Yeah. No,
like,
they
oh,
know.
did you know he
The
dropped all
media
the bombs? Like, oh no, I wasn't paying attention at all back then.
What's
Yep.
your name? I'm sorry, I forgot your name. It's like Jeremiah or something.
Josh, no, that's fine. You
Okay,
typically
all right.
when I log in under this count,
Okay.
sarcasm is fine.
Okay, Jeremiah.
Call him Giuseppe.
No, I'm
Josh.
Okay, Josh. Okay, yeah. So I get your point. But here's like back on the topic that we started the video with.
Yeah.
Here's where I see like the head to head, because you have the presidents that we can all agree we might not like them. Yeah, fuck off.
Keep on going.
Okay, so we have the presidents that we like. I agree with you. It's like, well, they're not perfect, and I might not even like them, but there's things I can acknowledge about them. But when we have this whole like Pizzagate, Pedogate, Epstein, like elite pedophile thing, that's such a taboo, divisive topic, like we were talking about earlier. We're back to like, well, was Obama with them or against them? Because that's the only thing that matters now, And that's where I think it's going to play into the 2020 election.
I agree there for sure.
My hope is that we start separating people either pro-elite or anti-elite instead of like, morally left or morally right, as I like to call them. But more like recognition of there's some fucking shady shit that needs to be uncovered and taken care of. And at a certain point, it's like, it doesn't matter what Trump does if he's part of the pedophile cabal. It doesn't matter what Obama or Clinton or anybody does if they're part of this pedophile cabal. And if we can if that becomes a hot button topic, it's almost like we'll see more divisiveness, but like the right divisiveness, if that makes sense, And
that makes perfect sense, because I do think if that becomes a hot topic issue, people that are more likely to be involved in this kind of like overall network thing are going to be less likely to want to talk about it. The people that are going to be pushing that a little bit more and being like, "Hey, why aren't we talking about this?"
That's what I
like. Yeah. Those are where I'm just like, okay, why aren't we listening to this guy a little bit more? Like this is a problem. Why can't we pay attention to this? And I do feel like I would say like every president, like since I've been alive, and even the ones like when I was a kid, I've like looked into that stuff. And I'm like, I can see why they got elected during the time they did, even if they weren't the best person for the job.
Yeah.
George Bush Sr. was not the best person for the job. The only reason George Bush Sr. got elected was because Reagan left office with such a high, rating kind of thing. Like everybody felt like he did, even though he did a lot of bad things. People when he left office, everybody's like, okay, we really trust this party. And he was the vice president, so obviously he's going to do us right. He lasted one term, and they fucking kicked him out.
They wanted to go with the Republican, and also George Bush at the time, he wasn't known at all when he was running. He wasn't he was actually one of the lower level people. You look at how the Democratic debate is now. It would be almost like who's that actual Spanish guy that's in there. It'd be it would be
the
like
actual Hispanic,
the actual Spanish guy, not the guy that pretends he's Spanish. It'd be like one of those lower level guys, just making a one hell of a debate performance and putting them ahead of everyone else. That would be the equivalent of George Bush Sr. when he won that election, because he kind of came out of nowhere. It was Reagan's game for so long, and everyone was feeling another Republican pretty much.
Also, I mean, it helped significantly that he was the vice president during those times. It helped
obviously
significantly. That's why everybody thought Al Gore was such a shoo-in during that 2000 election, because he was the vice president during this 2 terms. But I was like, yeah, but you guys are kind of forgetting the fact that Clinton fucked a lot of things up.
Let's be real. If it was Joe Biden that ran instead of Hillary Clinton last time around, do you think he would have won over Trump?
Wait, let's say that again. Sorry.
If Biden ran in 2016, I mean, obviously he had like the death of his kid, like he was going through a lot. But if he was the one that was running instead of Hillary Clinton,
I think Biden
he might have won because he would have retained enough people, enough of the Obama people, just by being the vice president.
I can't say he would have won, but I would say he would have stood a much better chance than Hillary would have.
I feel the same.
Sure.
I feel the same. That's a tough ass question.
And you know what? I'm gonna say that he would win just because, like, the reason why Trump, Trump has a much better chance now that he's in there. People realize the world didn't end. He has his faults, but it's like it's not as bad as liberals were all like screeching and mourning about.
Drop something.
But it's like you can still even bring up the whole Creepy Joe thing, which was less of a factor back then.
It wouldn't have mattered.
But even still, it wouldn't have brought up to the stacks.
I don't know.
Bipartisan would have concerned people worse. I do feel like I would say it would have definitely been a closer election. I feel like I kind of feel a little bit confident in saying because of how close Hillary and Trump was, Biden would have been would have definitely edged it in because Hillary is like such a horrible person and has such a horrible record. People hated her.
Yeah, I mean,
not a good person. Just having him attached to the Trump name did him service, just the way Al Gore did, because Al Gore is a fucking dumbass, and him being attached to Bill Clinton, somebody who was elected twice, that's how it even became so close. If it was somebody other than Al Gore, Bush would have won way higher.
Yeah, it's almost like Hitler wouldn't have won against Trump, but Stalin might have.
No, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, I don't know if I hate him enough to vote for Hitler, but maybe Stalin.
Yeah, I would say, like here's the thing. Trump came in, and like part of the reason that the left hated him so much was the reason the right invested so much in him, because he didn't fucking care. And like he spoke his mind. Yeah. He was radical. He would cut people off. The wrong shit like that. That's a meme, but that's why the right loved him so much, because he's in this debate and like he can't wait to start. No, you're wrong. Or like Hillary Clinton, blah blah blah. If I was this, and be like, no, because you'd be in jail, like kind of thing. Like remember there's all these memes where they put like the gangster glasses on him and stuff, and I was just like, I don't like Trump, but like he fucking owned that debate with that one line, because anybody
that was it.
Anybody who didn't like him already didn't like him. Anybody who was on the fence and slightly didn't like Hillary was suddenly in his camp.
Well, the thing was anybody,
and you know it's gonna be so much worse this time around, because he's gonna be live tweeting all the fucking debates before he even fucking I think Eric brought this up on a Sarcasm and Liberty stream. It's like, because he had to go through so many Republicans to even get to Hillary Clinton. It's like he's got that taken care of, like Bill Weld. Like
he's already got the advantage.
Yeah, he's just gonna stiff arm Bill Weld, like fuck you, buddy, get out of here.
No, I'm excited. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for him.
No, go ahead. I want to hear you, Tyler.
I'm excited for him because, from my experience, anybody that was willing to entertain Trump wasn't like they. I want to say they were smart enough to know that the substance was all bullshit. Mm-hmm. It was like the more substance, the more it was anti-substance. It was all bullshit. And so for Trump to come on the stage and just be like, fuck you, basically, it was like we experienced, I don't know, the last American election that happened, where you see a candidate basically getting to be your voice. In our case, as Trump voters in my peer group in 2016, it was a middle finger. But it was still our voice, and it was like we can get on there and be like, you know what, fuck your fucking your system that you have that's gonna put the same people in power that you pick as puppets.
Yeah, no, I mean,
even if Trump is a puppet, you can still recognize that we are like, fuck your puppet. We got our puppet. You know,
You know what? Like honestly, like this may be unpopular, but like I really don't think he's a puppet because it's just like the overall reaction.
No,
The overall reaction to him is like unheard of. Nothing
Yes,
we've ever seen.
yeah,
Like
no,
I watched the election night, right?
uh-huh.
And I was watching CNN, like pretty reputable, sarcastic, but as far as it's supposed to be a reputable thing. And the election was over 2 hours before they made the announcement, and they were literally sitting there shitting themselves for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you mad about? This guy's gonna give you content, fucking 24/7
Right? They're gonna
throughout
give
his whole. Like,
views.
you have nothing to benefit. But
No.
they were still shitting their pants. Like they
Yeah.
were shitting their pants so hard that they didn't even like. Trump is sitting there basically waving like everything's like set in stone, and they're like, yeah, the results aren't quite in yet.
Right.
We're still waiting.
I want to say I maintain that the biggest thing Trump had in his favor was that he wasn't a politician. Is because people by that point were so sick. And like, here's the thing: is like, regardless of what side you're on, even some leftists can agree with this. Like that Bush-Obama switch, not a lot changed. Like some things got worse. It was undeniable. And even if you want to put your head in the sand and just deny it to the end of the days, in your heart, things got worse. Things did not get better. And like you're pushing for the next person, and so many people are listening to Hillary, and so many people are hearing the exact same thing they've heard before, only way more cringy with all of her Pokemon Go comments and shit.
oh god damn! I have hot sauce.
Right,
I
yeah.
have hot sauce.
She's so fucking cringy. Like she tried so hard, and that was the thing.
That Pokemon Go to the polls thing was absolutely hilarious. Oh, like that was such a bomb. Oh my god.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like there's these videos where you can see them zooming in on people in the background. There's people like making these weird faces. And everybody's cheering. Like you hear all this cheering, and I'm like, did they add that in post? Because like everybody in the background is making this weird face, like, But like she's so cringy. She's trying like she came across as desperate.
Yeah.
Because of that kind of stuff. The Pokemon Go to the polls thing came across as desperate.
No, what it was? It was like the weird aunt trying to be cool, like, and like all like the group of 10-year-old girls like just sitting there looking at her like.
You know what? It was the weird aunt. It was the weird aunt trying to be cool, and Trump, to me at least, was the uncle who knew where the fucking shrooms were growing in the neighborhood.
Where he's like, he's got the skateboard, and he's like, "Hello, fellow kids." This is like, where it's on. Yeah, that's how she came across. You can tell, like, I would tell anybody, go back and watch that clip. As soon as she says the words "Pokemon Go," she pauses, and she has this look on her face, like she knows she's about to get an applause because she made a reference that even she doesn't understand.
Yeah.
She has no idea what that is, but she knows she's supposed to get an applause. Like you just watch her face during some of those things, and it's like it's so.
And that's the thing. So many people were like, I don't want to get played, so I'm voting Trump.
Yeah. No, and that's what
at least I can fucking
Trump had the advantage. Yeah. That's why I maintain Trump had the advantage because he wasn't a politician. Because I do feel like, and I don't say this in offense to even him or any of his voters, but Trump was ignorant as to how to run a campaign. And that actually ended up working in his favor because he didn't do the same things that everybody else did.
Yeah, definitely.
And people took notice of that. I was like, okay, he's different. He's blurting stuff out, but he's speaking his mind. This other person, she's saying shit like Pokemon Go to the polls. Like,
honestly, like
cringy versus just obnoxious. I kind of rather take obnoxious at this point.
I'm gonna give Trump a lot of credit here because I mean a lot of people said he was like you said he was ignorant on campaigning. He may have been ignorant in the traditional sense.
Yeah, that's what he was doing.
He knew how to get his name out there. Like he didn't care if it was good publicity, bad publicity. It didn't matter. Publicity was publicity to him.
Yeah, I want to caveat because, like, Scott, I heard Scott chime in saying like he knew what he was doing. I don't believe that's true. His staff knew what they were doing.
Well,
I do
No,
believe Trump was a little ignorant as to how things went, and I do believe his
I'll tell
his
you what.
staff.
well, I mean,
Like
he
that
like
to his
obviously I think he had like people like helping him, like, oh, you should do this, like, you know, rich
Oh,
guys
for
are
sure.
gonna
No,
have
like
advisors.
I'll tell
I
you
feel
what,
like
though.
like
I have
everybody had to know he's gonna run off on his own. So his staff, like I do feel like,
But
because okay, you know somebody wrote Pokemon Go to the polls for Hillary. Somebody
yeah,
else
goddamn,
wrote,
they did. Yeah.
somebody else wrote an
Those who got
outline for
fired.
Trump, probably
it
knowing
was
he was gonna
Elizabeth
go
Warren.
way
She was
off
like,
in a
oh, this is gonna
different
be great.
Elizabeth
It's
Warren.
probably like, hey, if we try to tell him to say this, he might go off on this crazy fucking tangent in the other way. Let's try to see if we can get that to happen. Like, I do feel like his staff played a huge part, and possibly just like giving him these pushes and
Yeah,
like, hey, like poke at this area, and just like be yourself, because they knew he's kind of unhinged.
Pokemon
And that's not what people are used to. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, he had Roger Stone working for him, so he had a lot of influence on that.
Yeah.
Look,
For sure, and like this is coming from a guy. Look, I'm sorry. This is coming from a guy who doesn't like Trump, and I'm saying like he had an obvious advantage. Like he had an obvious advantage. The only thing coming in the 2020 election that the left can even hope to like kind of try to like, and they're already not doing a good job because they're trying to push people like Elizabeth Warren. Like the only thing they can do to hope is like push somebody like Tulsi Gabbard, who is against their traditional grain. Who kind of comes out there and sounds a little bit crazy to everybody, and everybody's going to latch onto that a little bit more because.
But yeah, I kind of
conventional.
I kind of like Tulsi. I kind of like Tulsi. You know.
Yeah,
and,
I'm the same.
And
way.
I'll shoot at Jeremiah. I'll shoot at Jeremiah, who's got to have his disclaimer. He doesn't like Trump. You know what I mean? And here's my disclaimer. I don't give a shit what people think. But,
yeah, no. Like here's my thing is like I'm in the middle. Like here's what I've seen. I would say in the past 3 years, people are sick of traditional politicians. People want politicians who seem like actual people now, and I do feel like that's where Trump came in strong, because like while he did come off as a little bit crazy, as a little bit of a loudmouth. He came off as an actual person, though, because that's
dude.
And you know what? That's like the same thing in the Libertarian Party, because like you look at like who's like really behind the liberty movement, like, you know, guys like me and you, guys that like are and girls as well, and think liberty, because I, you know, can't leave out Caitlyn. Not trying to be sexist. You know, so it's like it's more normal people that are actually like running the show, but it's like you get to the actual like candidates, you know, they're all suit and tie, like, you know, this yuppie like guys that like would be a complete bore at a party. You know, it's like
that's,
you know, and they wonder why they don't win. It's like because you're not putting any real people out there. It's like look all around liberty movement.
Exactly, and I wanted to share, and that's where the liberty movement can really touch base, because I wanted before I have to go to bed. I do have work in the morning.
Yeah, but actually, before you start, I'm gonna wrap this up in 5 minutes. So let's all like kind of get our final thoughts.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I want to hear what Tyler has to say, because I have something lined up to say, and I do feel like he's about to add on to that for me.
Okay.
So.
All right, Tyler, go.
So my final thought is so during the Trump campaign, I had a pretty cool experience. I actually shared to the Donald Trump Reddit page, and it got some upvotes, and it was cool. But I was in the middle of Texas somewhere. Me and my wife were taking a drive, and I was in the line at the gas station where this guy dropped a $20 bill in front of me. And for whatever reason, I was like feeling like super like social. I was feeling like, you know, everybody's in this together. The little guy needs to be protected. I was thinking about the election. You know, I was like, at this point, I was like, I'm voting for Donald Trump. We're going to do this. And I don't know if all that had into a play or if it was just me, but I picked the $20 bill up, you know, and I paid for whatever I was getting, the gas and cigarettes. And I went to the guy and I was like, hey, man. And he kind of looked at me, you know, because here I am, and I'm a little bit more yuppie, a little bit more hipster than most of these guys, because I'm in the country. I'm in the middle of nowhere. This is a bunch of pine trees and the first gas station we've seen in 20 miles. This guy's in there.
Were you wearing your colonial outfit?
No, I was not dressed in alternative fashion. I was not dressed, but I probably had skinny jeans on, and I was probably 40 or 50 pounds lighter, but whatever.
Okay.
But but anyway, so I went up to him, and he kind of looked at me like, what's this guy doing, and I was like, hey, sir, you dropped this, I think you dropped this money. And he was like super thankative about it. He was like, dude, thank you so much, And then we had this connection, We're two strangers in the middle of nowhere. We're two nobodies. That was more important than anything. We're two nobodies. And because I was feeling so political at the time, he was like, man, let me do something for you. Let me give you half of this since you gave it back to me. I was like, I don't want that. I was like, this might be illegal because I'm paying for a vote. But I was like, I tell you what, man, just vote Republican. Make sure you vote and vote Republican. Vote red when you get out there to the polls. And he was like, he looked at me for a second, and I could tell he was thinking about what he was going to say. And he was like, Republican, is that who Donald Trump's with? And I was like, yeah, my man. He was like, that's what I'm doing, And it was like, fuck yeah, like we're in the middle of America. You're not some hipster I met at the bar who scoffed at me because I asked for a Budweiser and not some craft beer. You're this dude that probably works his ass off to fucking take care of his family. And he's like, he told me, he said, I don't follow politics. Yeah. He said, what is Donald Trump? And I said, that's the Republicans. And he was like, no problem. Well, to me, that was like, to finalize the point about the whole topic, the real divide is between those normal fucking dudes that work so hard and they're focused on their life and their mundane tasks. It's like the Zen Buddhist said, before enlightenment, fucking chop wood, collect water. After enlightenment, chop wood, collect water. And it's those guys that were like, I like Donald Trump because there was some connection, man. He was real. And Hillary Clinton's out there making these. I got hot sauce and Pokemon Go. These people were getting gas station. They're at the gas station spending their last $20 to then get the gas and feed their kids. Yeah. And there was a connection, and it was fucking beautiful. And that is what got Donald Trump. That's what.
Yeah, you heard it here first. It wasn't actually the Russians that colluded. It was a bunch of kids in skinny jeans buying boats.
That's it. Hey, we were returning $20 bills that they dropped, and we convinced them to vote, and we're the fucking Russians,
Yeah, so look out for them skinny jeans this year because they're coming back.
If I can comment on that real quick before I give my final word, I would like to say that's powerful to me because that's what I would say to anybody is like if you have a person you feel like other people should vote for, be that kind of person because that's
what it was. I felt that.
Be that person because I'm like if you want somebody to vote for this guy and you're a shithole about everything, nobody's gonna vote for your guy. Actually, be like, well, obviously this person's an asshole. Be the kind of person you would want to vote for, and that's gonna come through.
And I know we want to be real quick because I know he's wrapping this up. And another thing that really changed me is we had it was around the same time we had Hurricane Harvey hit our area. I know it made national news. It made a lot of news near us. We were heavily affected by Hurricane Harvey in my area. And I had been liberal. I had been kind of pretty artsy, and I was playing music and I was pretty liberal. And it was kind of a running joke that you made fun of the guys, the rednecks that had the bass boats and the lifted up trucks. But you know who was going out and rescuing people off their roofs in the Houston and Golden Triangle area in Texas? It was those same good old country boys with the trucks that could drive through the fucking water and the boats that if they couldn't drive, they put their bass boats in the water and they were rescuing old ladies and they were rescuing senior citizen homes and they were taking care of people. And it was the same people that my liberal friends were making fun of. And those people actually, for whatever was wrong with them, and they can be dumb and prejudiced, but when it came time, It didn't matter the color of the skin. It didn't matter who you were. They were out there risking their lives to save lives.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, in all fairness,
And that was America to me.
yeah.
So
Well, in all fairness, the leftists did their part too. They probably did some protests against the government that accomplished absolutely nothing.
yeah.
You know, so they tried. They tried.
Yes. And I became a Trump voter and a libertarian because I realized the government wasn't worth shit because they couldn't make it down here. And it was the fucking good old country boys that were fucking rounding up food and water and taking it to people.
Yeah.
Because they were the ones helping everybody out. And the government was like, it's too deep, or insurance. And that's what fucking mattered to me. That's what.
Okay, to kind of bounce off that, and I'll try to make my like last thing real quick because like I need to try to turn in soon, or I'm going to be a zombie tomorrow. So like off what like kind of bounce a little bit off of what like I had just said, and then some more of what Tyler had said. I would say like I'm going to disagree with who a lot of people vote for, because it's like I'm a contrarian when it comes to voting. Like literally, there's not a person who is president since I've been alive that I've gone back and been like, yeah, that makes sense. Like they did a good job. Like I'm like, fuck that guy. Pretty much everybody. And I'm probably going to be, even if it's a libertarian like wins this next election, that's not going to happen. But even if they did, I'd probably be like, fuck that person. Because anybody who's going to suck that much dick to get in politics, I'm probably going to not like. But like when it comes to the voters, if you can like passionately defend your vote without like all this contradiction, like whenever I talk to an Obama voter, I'm like, well, what about all? They're like, well, he ended the war in the Middle East. I'm like, and he invaded 3 more countries than Bush did, and still kept us in those other 2 countries, and we were like fighting 5 wars in like 5 different countries. Like, what about that? What about this drone strikes? And then they'll just deflect, you know. And like Tyler, this is the first time I've met you, but I have a feeling if I directed a Trump problem I had at you, you would address that rather than deflect. Like, because it seems like you're coming from a more passionate place as opposed to like a political place. And I do always want to say, when it comes to voting, vote with your conscience. I might not agree with you, but I cannot argue against you if you're voting your conscience. If you're telling me you voted for this person because they're the lesser of 2 evils, if you're telling me you voted for this person because like it just seemed like the best choice at the time, or like you didn't understand politics or this or that, I'm going to have arguments. But if you can back up, if you can passionately defend, you're like, I cannot really argue. Like I might not agree with you, but I can't argue against you because you voted for who you thought could possibly do the best for that job. And like I said, like, you know, and I feel like I would say honestly, before this last election, I probably had a different mindset. I feel like my best friend kind of helped change me on that, because like he voted for Trump, and there's a lot of stuff with Trump he doesn't like, but like he can, like the things that he does like, he will defend and he will offer up why he believes that way. And it's not contradictory to like other things, you know, it doesn't kind of collapse in on itself in this weird paradox like a lot of voters do. So that's what I would just say when it comes to any election, whether it's federal, state, local, vote your conscience. Do not ever vote. If you feel like who's on the docket doesn't match your beliefs, there's no reason for you to vote. You know, because that means that like there's a reason for you to protest, because that means that your government at that level is not offering you an option.
There's no representation, right?
Yeah, exactly. You do not have representation.
I believe, like, I don't like those people like, you can't protest. And I see that from the right. You can't protest because you didn't vote. No, fuck that. You can protest as much as you want.
I see that more from the right than I do from the left.
I do too.
You know, I'm an Army veteran, and like, I see that through the most is Republicans and vets. And I'm like, you know what? I served 5 years in the Army. If you're going to tell me I don't have the right to complain about who is in a certain office because I didn't actually vote for that person or didn't vote in that election, fuck off. Like,
I agree. Do have some things to say about that whole, you know, because there's been a lot of voter consenting. I do first want to, you know, give a chance for Scott to give his last words and kind of direct it towards the end of the stream.
if I can, real quick, I got to sign off right now. I do want to say thanks for having me on. Scott and Tyler, it was nice meeting you. I would love to have either one of you guys, or both of you, or all three of you guys, of course, on sometime on the Sarcasm Liberty live streams for just like a hangout like this, or if you guys want to pick a topic and we can talk it.
I'd be down.
Yeah.
With the election coming up, and especially the discussion we have tonight, I feel like that would be perfect. For just so you know, if you're on Twitter at sarcasm_liberty, if you follow me and like DM or at that account, I'm the one that runs that, so I'd be the one that'll interact with you. Otherwise, you can just talk to Michael to get back to me, and some way we can kind of meet up and try to figure out like a live stream, because I'd love to have you guys on sometime. This was a fun conversation. I had a great time. I really enjoyed this discussion. Thanks so much. Sorry I got to bounce so fast like this, but again, thanks, Michael, for having me on. And this is
good having you, man.
Yeah. Good night, guys.
All right,
Good night, man.
Nice meeting you, man.
All right. Yeah. Let's
All right.
give Scott a final moment here.
Yeah. First, I think you probably should have named the stream the Rape Apologist stream. Because
What the fuck?
well, I mean that's what people listening are gonna call this.
Yeah, true.
Fuck.
True.
Well, I mean that's
shit.
I guess that's only the assumption that Trump is actually guilty of all this.
Yeah, which we don't really have.
He's fucking guilty. You know
He's guilty. All right. Like
yeah, clearly, definitely.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure about this, because like all this shit seems to make so much fucking sense. Like I said, like you were saying earlier, with the extent of it. But yeah, like we really didn't get too much Epstein. It kind of spun back into Trump.
Dude.
It kind of spun back into Trump. So like we were like kind of like just it's funny because we're like
30 minutes.
Like we started off like, oh, like people are such fucking assholes and too busy talking about Trump when this whole thing's going on. What do? We started talking about Trump.
Man, yeah.
So yeah, we're a little bit guilty of that. Sorry, guys. Go ahead, Scott. Finish what you're saying.
Fuck. Where's my final point? What was Tyler talking about?
I'm fucking talking about all kind of shit, man. You know, what do you want me to talk about? The fact is that we have a new issue being brought up and discussed. It's either gonna fall off in like fucking 2 weeks, or it's gonna be another major issue. For some people, it's gonna continue to be an issue.
Yeah, it depends. Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That whole like people seem just fully identifying with like basing their entire identity on their politics, and so that was a good point Tyler made, that probably the vast majority of people in this country are probably just regular fucking people. They're not on Facebook ranting every day about
exactly
all this other shit, and then like praising John McCain, whom they probably hated a few years before that.
Yeah.
I
think you're right, because like we see this like perception of what it is on social media, and it's like that's just like a very small representation of people. Like that's as many people as it looks like, and it seems that's realistically like 1% of people like in these political discussion groups, like talking about Trump, talking about Hillary.
But then it does trickle down too, though, and that's the issue. Where like you might not be as extreme as someone else on the right, but since you're getting your impression of the other side from those people, then you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like Scott. I feel like the majority of people that are like super politically engaged are fake fucking people, and I mean that in a literal sense.
Well, of course they are, because then people mostly just defend their side, and that's bullshit.
Well, I think everyone has their own like ways and for getting into politics. Like, for me, it was like a couple of reasons. Like, I was always rebellious. One, I came from an area of like really rich history.
Liberal assholes.
It's like Yeah, well, I
That's
live
true.
in the Boston area, so it's like the Revolutionary War history is everywhere.
Yes.
It kind
Yeah,
of like gets beaten into your brain like really early.
Yeah, well, remember the Alamo, you motherfucker. Remember the Alamo.
Yeah,
bitch.
Right. So it's
David
like,
Crockett.
but it's like you got all these people now where it's like they're just they're doing it for brownie points. Like, oh look how like because it's all self image. It's like, oh look
yeah,
how
that's what
good
I mean.
look how good of a person I am voting Democrat and voting for poor people, voting for black people, voting for gay people. It's
Yeah.
like hey, like I ain't got no problem with any of those people. Like
Yeah.
but it's like I ain't gotta sit there and like, oh look how great I am, like talking about how much I care for these people, even though I don't do shit for them.
Well, like I said, the majority of people like super politically engaged are fake people, and
Yeah.
they're voting for fake candidates.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And like
I used
I
to
don't
give.
I don't know how
Uh,
you guys feel, but like I do have this running theory in my mind that a solid number of people are like hollow shells. Like I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
drunk.
that's why they
I'm
gotta
drunk.
identify with
that,
these.
that that's
No,
why
no, but I
that's why
mean that. I
the
mean that literally. I mean that literally.
oh yeah, that's why the NPC meme was a thing,
Like
Yeah.
because
yeah,
it identified like half the people you
but
interact with on the internet.
I'm going full. I'm going full Alex Jones here. I mean, shut up. I mean that literally. Like I feel like there's some people out there, man, that have not developed like a being, have not developed a soul, and like
Oh.
like no, I mean it seriously, dude. There's
Well,
like some people out
it's
there
not
that,
it's not that. It's more like they haven't developed the intelligence. Like, okay, like we're sitting here talking, we're actually having thoughts.
that's your opinion, man. I think these people are all
Hold on, because like if we really want to get into it, I think it's all God, but that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, let's do
But
that show.
I'm
point
just
is like
saying.
we're sitting here like having actual thoughts and discussions.
Yeah, and
where
we're like,
where well, like we're rationalizing what we're saying while we're having these
well,
conversations.
it's like
Where more people are just kind of like parrots. It's like a parrot doesn't know what
yeah.
the fuck he's saying.
It's like
He's saying Polly want a cracker. Polly doesn't know what a fucking cracker is. Polly
that's
just fucking
it.
Polly
Yes,
just
that's
heard
what I mean.
Polly want a cracker 200 fucking times a day until he just started fucking repeating it.
Yeah, it's like a 3-dimensional thing versus a 2-dimensional. And I don't care. I don't care what you support politically, as long as you're 3-dimensional, we can fucking deal with it.
Right.
I agree.
And
Exactly.
I find you valuable. But
There's a lot of like really like left people who like politically, I'm sure none of us would be
Yeah.
for, that I still am somewhat influenced by, and it
There's-
doesn't
there's
fucking
a-
matter.
There's a lot of politically inept marshmallows. I mean, people out there.
yeah.
Sure.
I don't know about him, man. He's maybe like 2.5 dimensions. But I mean, but seriously, there's
He's a hollow shell within a hollow shell.
okay.
Dude, let's bring him on, dude.
Oh,
I mean,
that
not
would be
now,
great.
but
No,
we
because
gotta make sure he doesn't hear that last part.
right.
I've said worse to him to his face, so I
Yeah,
guess.
you gotta-
well, me too, dude. I've totally unloaded on him.
Just kidding, Marshall. We love you here. We say all this with love, but not love for your socialism. Also debate me, you coward.
Oh yeah, and Luke, that other guy, dude, you're supposed to debate.
Hey, yeah. Where's your fucking leftist friends, man? I wanna
Go on.
I really feel like we could like get somewhere with somebody that's like leftist, because I feel like a lot of people I talk to online, they utilize the advantage of having the time to like think out a comment and like come up with some like snarky thing more than I need it, because I'm normally like bam on the forefront and like I have something to say, and a lot of times like I'll go to bed and then I'll have like some snarky reply that gets a bunch of likes. So we need to get some leftist friends on here and like have an actual discussion. I'm willing to.
I wanted to get Chris on.
like
Oh.
it's hard because like a lot of the leftists, they're really kind of like camera shy. They don't speak well publicly.
Yeah,
Mar-
neither.
Marshall's pretty good speaking publicly.
Yeah, he
Sometimes,
is. He is.
sometimes he deflects from certain arguments, or like what I always like to do is I always like to catch him in his little inconsistencies. And but like I would love to have Marshall or any other leftist to like kind of like add like a little bit difference here, like some kind of argument here, because it's like a lot of times we agree too much. And it's like, yeah, it's fun and entertaining, but it's like it would be good to get like someone like more like on the complete other side, like, oh no
Yeah,
no
yeah,
no, this is all ridiculous,
yeah.
like and we all gang up on him, like, fuck you, commie.
Well, I mean, you can be good at speaking; it doesn't necessarily make you right. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It can be interesting. I mean, I'd be down to talk whenever. It was nice. I'm about to sign
Yeah.
off because I should have been in bed like an hour and a half ago. But
Yeah, I'm long overdue for a cigarette. Actually,
dude, oh
we're
my
we're
god,
going into overtime.
you're not even
Um,
joking, man. I've been thinking about
Dude.
smoking in here, and I'm not supposed to.
I know, right? I was like, wait, who's around? Who's around? No, I'm just kidding.
No,
I can
I'm
smoke.
around, and I won't forgive myself because like
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I can smoke down here if I want to. But
Sweet.
sorry.
yeah, well, you say the music for a couple minutes. We'll play it out to the
Yeah, that's
music.
cool. You got a new
There's
in-house band.
we got the I don't know what we're even calling this band. I was trying to think of something clever on the spot, but my mind
You
went
need-
blank.
I'm just gonna say you probably should edit your videos. You should probably like cut the good shit.
Well, I mean,
don't
it's like this is a realness. It's like we're in real life where people make mistakes. People say we're not reading from a teleprompter. We're formulating our own thoughts.
I just meant this like 20
I-
minutes, like bullshitting between friends.
Oh, okay, yeah. But it's like I don't even know. We'll play it out. Thank you for going all the way into overtime with us on the Den, as it's called now. I just kind of came
Wait,
up with that new. Yeah, I'm calling it the Den. I don't know. I just kind of put the Den like to kind of change it up because I kind of changed it up a couple times. I'm like, all right, like let me just throw
me
some
too. I
shit.
can't.
Yeah, throw some shit against the wall. Like, see how it works. Like, I kind of like the way this one actually went today, with a couple people, because it actually made it more lively than with just the two people. But I figured with something different, I would change it up and call, like, obviously it's still same channel, but I called this the Den instead of the DL show. Which was the first like 4 or 5 episodes, which are obviously still on the library and all very great content, where you can see me in every single one of the videos. So that's if that's not an argument to watch, I don't know what is. So again, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.